you guys can hear me. It's the 4th of July, 2025, and I'm here to try to basically see if I can find other people out in the wild here who are interested in extending rights to other beings. We talk about the 4th of July in the context of freedom, and it's one of those maxims, if you will, that I think we need to be extending to all animals, not just humans. So I want to see if there are people who are also willing to think about freedom for non-human animals. And so I'll have my sign here that asks people to participate in a social experiment. If anyone here can let me know if they can hear me, that would be awesome. It is quite busy out here today, so I think we should probably get a lot of people stopping at least. So I got my sign out, which says, "Come participate in a social experiment." And I'll go ahead and hold that sign. All right, thanks, Tessa, for letting me know you can hear. I do appreciate that. And I'll go ahead and start holding the sign here. The camera's maybe a little high. Okay, I think that's a good view. It's a very, very busy day here in Chicago. We have NASCAR is in town this weekend. I think the 5th and the 6th, so tomorrow and the day after. And then, 4th of July, it's already kind of a busy time. So we'll see how many people we get stopping today. I should have about an hour or so of time to run this. Always super awkward to get started, but once you get in the hang of it, then it becomes a little bit easier. Kind of like a box of chocolates, like Forrest Gump says, you never know what you're going to get. You get the next big vegan activist, we could get someone who we actually end up turning into a more unethical person if they've never thought of these things before, and then they think of these things and they're like, wait, I thought I was against animals being hurt, and after this guy just asked me these questions in this social experiment about violence, basically, people might end up finding that they're actually in favor of violence, whereas maybe they didn't realize that they were. So if you're just tuning in, I'm basically running a social experiment. It says, "Come participate in a social experiment." I know it's probably backwards here on YouTube, but I'll be asking people a question tree about freedom, since today's the 4th of July, and seeing if they're willing to extend the idea of freedom to other animals. So it's basically street outreach for animal rights. So hopefully when someone stops, I'll kind of be able to cut to the chase a little bit sooner, maybe with it being the 4th of July and that theme of freedom. Hey, Martin, Kevin, great to see you here. So you have not missed anything. No one has stopped yet. Getting a lot of strange looks, that's for sure. Never gets easier, I will say that. But I guess that's kind of the fun of it. You gotta just learn to embrace the awkwardness every single time. Hi, would you like to participate? That's the whole fun of it. You get to find out. So I am live on YouTube. Are you okay to be live on my YouTube channel? You're not? Okay. Sorry about that. Have a nice day. Here hear a lot of people speaking different languages. Can't tell, maybe a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of Italian. I can usually recognize Spanish, but it sounds like maybe something else. It's one of the Romance languages, perhaps. So I'll see how this spot turns out. If there was a different spot that I thought was a little bit better, but it was kind of loud there. Like there were some other street performance type things going on, so I might move. I've yet to be engaged on this topic. And if you're tuning in, thanks for being here. My name is Haas, and I'm doing animal rights activism. I'm an animal liberationist, and I'm hoping that some people stop and talk to me about the idea of freedom. And if you're watching and you are vegan, feel free to maybe write how many years you've been vegan in the chat, or how many months or weeks. If you're not vegan, maybe list a reason in the chat why you're not vegan, because I know we do have some vegans here. So maybe someone who's vegan can engage with you on the topic. And the only thing that vegans regret is not going vegan sooner. So we vegans sure like to help other people go vegan, that's for sure. So if you're not vegan, feel free to write in the chat why. We got Benji for 14 years. He's 39. Very, very close to mine. So I'm 38, and it's been 12 and a half years for me. So very close. He got me by a couple to a few years there. Martin says 10 years vegan, and before that a vegetarian. 10 years is nothing to shake a stick at. We got Brett Barnes, 5 years. Bretta Barnes, 5 years. Very nice. I think once really, like after the first month, I think it just becomes really easy, because you figure out all this different stuff you're going to eat and buy for food, and then the rest of the stuff, you're not really, unless you're like going to circuses and zoos and rodeos and stuff, there's not really a whole lot to change. PJ says nearly 3 years. Solid. Good to see some really awesome people here too. So no one has stopped yet. Maybe I need to stop talking and just kind of like stand like a statue, maybe, and just like give people this kind of intense eye contact. So I appreciate you guys being here. Obviously, this is kind of it's unpredictable. It's live. It's authentic. It's vulnerable. It's raw. We got people thinking about it. Still thinking about it. Lots of people have thought about it, but I think, as I've said before, there's always that chance that, you'll be humiliated live and it'll be on the internet forever, and it's a deterrent. It is a deterrent. But you know what? I don't just want everyone to stop. I want the people who are ready for what I have to tell them to stop. So there's that quote about something about, the teacher will show up when the student is ready, or something like that. I mean, this isn't teaching per se, but it is edification, attempting to edify the public here. And we got 39 people watching. I think that might be a record for my live stream. So it's really awesome to see you guys all here. Again, my name is Haas, and I'm running the social experiment. This says, come participate in a social experiment. And my goal is basically to talk to people about the idea of freedom, with it being the 4th of July. And I'm going to ask them, is freedom something that only humans can experience? Or is freedom something that other animals can also experience? And then from there, I'll build a question tree, not trying to catch anyone up, in their logic, or expose any contradictions or anything like that. I'm not like a debate bro. My purpose is more just to, like I said, edify and educate the public about what's happening to animals, specifically, animals that humans are using for food, clothing, entertainment, experimentation, and hopefully we can get some people to change their minds with this sign. So I want people to come participate in a social experiment. And the idea is that a person will express that they do see it as unethical or speciesist to use animals for our own purposes, for our selfish reasons. And hopefully they'll take some information. They'll look back onto it. Yeah, 48 people watching. That's probably a high for me. So it's great to see you guys all here. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. I do these. Started doing them often again, like a few times a week. I might have to slow it down a little bit in the near future, but I will also be posting other types of videos. I'm thinking about doing like some cooking stuff. Like I love to prepare food, so like different vegan and gluten-free types of food stuff. And I also plan to do some like exercise and workout type stuff. I just learned, I think that was yesterday that I just learned that I've apparently put on like 7 pounds of muscle in the last 6 months, and even lost fat in the process. Like I literally did what's like impossible or very difficult for most people. Put on about 7 pounds of muscle and actually lost about 2 pounds of fat in the course of 6 months. All while obviously completely plant-based, all natural. I'm trying, Benji. I'm holding the sign, so I can't exactly flag people down, but I am holding this sign that says participate in a social experiment, and hopefully some people will stop. We'll see. There are a ton of people out, if you couldn't tell, but no one has actually stopped and been willing to participate. So the questions are going to be about freedom. Whether what you think about the 4th of July, what you think it's about. I'm going to build this idea of it being around freedom, and then ask about basically different species membership and freedom. Would you like to participate? Yes. All right. I am live on YouTube, just so you know. Would you guys mind coming into the frame? All right. Can I ask your guys' ages?
I am 27.
Okay.
I'm 26.
Okay, great. So basically, I'm wondering if you guys have any ideas on what the 4th of July is about.
Well, it's apparently when America gained independence from Britain.
Right. What themes do you guys think the 4th of July, and if you guys wouldn't mind maybe backing up a little bit more. Sorry, I know it's like really busy here. What themes do you think the 4th of July has to do with? Like if you had to say just like general themes.
Fireworks, red, white, blue.
Okay. What about more larger themes, like philosophical themes maybe? I'll throw one out, maybe
freedom.
Freedom,
Independence.
Okay, perfect. So, freedom. So I'm wondering if you think that freedom is something that only. So my name is Haas, by the way. If I didn't tell you that, and I'm an animal liberationist. So liberation, has to do with freedom. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if you think that freedom has to do only with like something humans can experience, or if other species of animals can also experience freedom.
Not at all. Animals can experience freedom too. Like birds that are trapped in cages, they don't know what freedom is, right? They deserve freedom as well. They deserve to be open and free.
Yeah. And speaking of cages, are you familiar with like processes in farming of animals?
Not really, but I do know that animals are kept, like cows and sheep and all of them, and pigs are kept in cages.
Yeah. Chickens, turkeys, goats, maybe. What do you think about that? Like, what do you think about the act of confining animals who we've brought into the world for no purpose other than to spend 15 minutes in someone's mouth after they're chopped up dead animal body parts?
I think it's a very sensitive topic, but personally I don't feel that animals belong in cages, and we as humans do eat these animals, but if we do consume them, I feel like they deserve to still be treated better.
So what is it about them? Why treat them better? I guess if I can play devil's advocate, if we're gonna kill them anyway, I guess why would we treat them better?
Because personally, I believe that animals suffer as well, and not a lot of people agree with this, but I feel like they have emotions as well. So I wouldn't want something to suffer and have I don't know, live a sad life before I consume it.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm vegetarian, by the way, so.
Okay, so how do you feel about the idea of just cutting their lives short, though? Because, like, for example, when a cow is killed, like even a dairy cow, after she's spent no longer getting pregnant, no longer producing milk, she's maybe 5, 6, 7 years old,
It's
whereas she
wrong.
could live like 20 years. So even if her life is taken in a, let's say, just an absolute painless way, it's still wrong to take her life prematurely, right?
Hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
That is wrong.
Yeah. And do you know about the dairy industry at all? For example, just like how they get pregnant and things like that?
Yeah, well, in India, my family owns farms, and I know they have to, before a cow can produce milk, she needs to give birth, or
human.
yeah, like a human.
Yeah.
So they continuously pregnate the cow and force her to produce milk.
Yeah. And what would we call that if instead of the cow, we replaced that individual with a human?
Abuse.
Yeah. Abuse. Or we'd call it other things too, right? Like we'd say that it's like sexual violation,
Yeah, of
basically.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like cows are super holy in our country, especially. So I do see the relevance and like not. But I mean, regardless of what animal it is, like I just feel like it's horrible whatever happens. And I feel like personally, from my opinion, I'm no one to judge like who eats meat or not. It's a personal choice. But the way it comes about, like how people are like eating meat and like forcing animals in cages. I feel
Yeah.
like
It's
that
very
is horrible.
controversial.
Yeah, and if
It
you think
is.
about it, it's not possible to actually force somebody to go vegan, for example. The best I can do is just get people to think. Obviously, I can try to hold people somewhat accountable,
Yeah.
which may feel like some kind of judgment. It's really not. It's more just seeing if people's actions are aligned with their values. So there are people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Our Uber is here.
Okay,
We have to
can
go.
I just give you guys some information?
Yeah, of
Sure.
course.
Okay, so here's the leaflet. You guys
Hello?
can share that, and I do
Yeah.
appreciate your guys stopping.
Absolutely.
And just ask yourself, if you're still paying for products of animal exploitation, just ask yourself how
I
many
think
more
we're
animals.
more mindful right now, even like while going and getting beauty products, like it has to be something like
Cruelty
that is-
free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, please
but-
carry that forward because they're
Yeah.
not going to free themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for
It's
stopping.
great. Yeah,
Appreciate
okay.
it. Have a good one. All right. So that was a conversation, at least. I will keep going. Thank you guys for being here. They had to get going, so I wasn't able to continue. Hey, 40-year-old vegan, good to see you here. Yeah, I wasn't probably my best performance, but just trying different angles here. And if you're just tuning in, this is basically the sign that I'm holding. So it says, "Come participate in a social experiment." And I'm gonna hydrate a little bit in the meantime. I do need to remind myself that I'm not a robot. Hey Neil, good to see you. Yes, the phone call got in the way. Okay, sorry for the mic noise here. Okay, I am hydrated again. Holding my sign is right side up. The sign says, "Come participate in a social experiment." And even if they don't necessarily go vegan, I mean, every little change that we can help people's brains kind of like grab onto, I think is a good thing. We're not gonna. I don't see it as a realistic possibility that someone's gonna necessarily like just by talking to me be like, "All right, I'm vegan now." But it's kind of just a matter of, I think, helping people elevate their awareness, broaden your awareness of what happens to other species. For us, it's just a choice that we make and then often forget about. Hello, would you like to participate?
Sure.
Okay, great. Come on into the frame if you don't mind. So I am live on YouTube. Were you sitting over there just chilling? Okay, cool. Okay, so my name is Haz, and I'm wondering, so I'm going to ask you some questions about the 4th of July. So what is a theme that comes to mind when you think of the 4th of July?
Independence.
Independence?
Yes.
Yeah. Freedom, maybe? Cool. So I'm an animal rights liberationist or animal liberationist. So I basically want to liberate animals from oppression at the hands of humans or control imparted by humans. So my question here, the burning question, is if you think that other species of animals are capable of having freedom or not having freedom. I guess if they're capable of
We're talking about like raccoons and birds and
any animal. I guess is freedom
worms
a property unique to humans?
um,
Like the ability to be free?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think it's just humans that. I mean, I think animals have the right to be free too.
They want to be free?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Can you think of anything that humans are doing to other animals, like certain species of animals en masse, which is inhibiting their freedom?
We have all those things like animal testing, and then we have for everything about knows already that's kind of an evil, mean kind of thing. But then there's also the zoo thing, the
Yeah.
zoos, and people who do breeding of animals.
Yeah, like dogs.
Yeah. I mean, there's enough out there that
Yeah, adopt, don't shop.
yeah,
Yeah.
that we really don't need any more of that. And a lot of times those are kept in really cruel conditions.
Right. So you hit on. So it seems like you're kind of. Are you against then, like against zoos, against animal testing, against breeding?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think
Okay.
there's a lot of use in that.
Yeah.
Other than, I mean,
What about rodeos?
oh, I don't really like rodeos.
You don't like
Yeah, I don't. I feel for the bull or the cow or like the running of the bulls. I know it's a great tradition that they all have, but it's very cool to watch or see. Or
Yeah, and there'll sometimes
experience.
be those like pig grabbing things where
Yes.
they'll like grease up a pig or something like that, and then people will try to like.
And they even think like just roping up their legs. I mean, I get it's a competition and then it's a skill that people have, but I think there's got to be a better way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, all the things that you brought up, zoos, animal testing, different forms of captivity. I think you mentioned fur as well.
Oh, yeah.
Rodeos, like entertainment, basically. Like zoos are just essentially a form of entertainment. Who also maybe does a little bit of conservation good on the side, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But so there's the big, forgive my pun, but kind of elephant in the room here. What do you think that might be in terms of the use of animals?
Use of animals, our own enjoyment.
Sorry?
I mean, we use them for our own enjoyment. I mean,
Yeah. So entertainment, experiments, clothing. But what's another? Starts with an F. Food. Right?
oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Considering that if we have access to grocery stores and a B12 supplement that we can.
I mean, I think there's a lot of calls for. I think we raise a lot of food. I mean, a lot of animals to be used as food probably is not needed. I mean, there's a lot of waste out there that we just. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of other options out there that we could be doing. That probably, if people just were willing to try it and go out on a limb and do it, I mean, I've done that with my family, things we've never thought we'd try before, like the Beyond Meat burgers and things that we were like, oh, this is really good, or meatballs that are just made of protein, beans and things like that don't have actual animals in, that are just as good. And it's shocking when people realize, oh, I'm eating that, and it's not not my same old animal that I'm usually eating. Yeah.
And it's not only when the victim is on the plate that animals have to suffer for human nutrition. It's of course in the dairy products, as they call it, in the eggs as well. Like if you weren't aware, in the egg industry, for every egg-laying hen, there's a male chick who's getting ground up alive or suffocated or left to die in a dumpster because the breed of chicken who's bred for their eggs is different than the one that's bred for the large chicken breast kind of things. There's like broiler chickens versus egg-laying hens. So even in like the case of backyard egg type scenarios, if they're getting them from a hatchery, the hatchery is just discarding the males. So ultimately, when they're viewed as a product, the welfare goes way down. So do you think that if an animal is not something that someone needs to eat, or something from an animal is not something that someone needs, like basically if you're in Chicago, for example, and you have grocery stores available and restaurants with plant-based options and lots of vegan restaurants, do you think that someone could morally justify eating animals or things that require animals to be exploited?
mean, it's tough. Do we have enough of those to support all the people as a viable option on both sides of it? I mean, it's got to have a big movement of people who start to decide to do that, which is what you're out here trying to do.
Yeah, and I think movement is key because movement is distance over time, right? Speed is basically distance over time. If this happened right now, if like I just snapped my fingers and everybody was vegan all of a sudden, then we might have an issue. But if we think about the inputs to the animal farming system, most of the inputs are of plant agriculture actually going to animal farming. Something like 70 to 80% of all the corn, soy, and other crops grown in this country are going to feed them. Yeah, and it's actually artificially cheap. People talk about how it's affordable and how you can feed a big family by putting meat on the table. But the fact of the matter is that if we actually had like the price of the flesh might actually be like 10 to 15 times higher because of all the subsidies, tax breaks, bailouts, those kinds of things that these companies are getting through public spending, basically. So unfortunately, even if you're against what's being done to these animals, if you're against animal exploitation, you still end up having to pay into it until we can get the system to change. Some people who advocate for animals do try to change the system kind of from a top-down perspective. I'm more of the opinion that the top is never going to change unless it looks down at the bottom and sees that there's enough public willing to support that as a foundation.
You're being pushed to change.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. I think in social change, the public opinion has always preceded like the governmental or like bureaucratic, legislative types of movements. So, when we think about this, is it urgent? Some people talk about things like climate change, for example, and how the planet's gonna burn up, and things like that if we don't stop like ocean acidification and deforestation and things like that. Which those are all definitely true. Maybe in terms of the planet burning up, maybe the predictions are a little bit alarmist. I can't speak to that exactly. I don't have the full grasp of the science about like climate change and that kind of stuff. But what I can say is that behind each choice that exploits an animal, there's a victim who didn't choose to be in that position and who doesn't have any way to get out unless people actually speak up and then kind of promote that change.
Well, yeah, there's a lot about. I mean, that goes 100%, I think, across the board. If there's victims on every aspect of whatever we're doing.
Yeah.
That sometimes are forgotten about because we're thinking about ourselves. So whether it's making clothing or it's making food, there's a victim somewhere in it.
Yeah.
That we have to be a little more conscious of our choices.
The thing with raising animals for food is that, for one, I don't think many people grow up wanting to kill animals for a living. Mm-hmm. So we have people basically inflicting what's called PITS onto themselves. Obviously, like I'm not diagnosing people with something here, but something that I think is very salient here is this idea of perpetrator-induced traumatic stress. So it's similar to post-traumatic stress syndrome, this concept, but it's the concept of having stress as a result of perpetrating something upon someone else. So accounts of this, anecdotally, are published where like different slaughterhouse workers talk about how they have to shut off their empathy. They have to basically view these animals who they're killing not as individuals, because they'll say like, this pig was literally just coming up and cuddling up next to me.
They were getting desensitized.
And then the next minute, I'm bashing them over the skull, trying to knock them out and slit their throat. And they're like, there's no way that I can live with myself if I see them as an individual still.
They have to separate themselves from the actual act. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether that's an actual syndrome. That's up to mental health professionals to decide. But as far as I'm concerned, that's still not desirable. Yeah. It's not it sounds like occupational hazard.
I'm supposed to say not a very healthy environment to work in.
Right. And actually it's a very dangerous environment to work in. It has the highest levels of recidivism and of injuries on the job. Oh. People have said, it's not a matter of if but when someone will get injured on a slaughterhouse kill floor, just when you're dealing with these large animals who are fighting for their last breath, choking on their own blood, hanging upside down by their legs, thrashing about. It's gruesome. Scalding water that's dealt with, all the chemicals, ammonia, formaldehyde, all this stuff. It's grisly. It's absolutely grisly. So I think like all of the issues that we can have in other industries that are also maybe rife with exploitation, whether it's like fast fashion or even other types of, maybe even some plant-based foods. I think if we look at the animal-based foods, we're dealing with the worst of the worst in terms of the potential for foul play, in terms of the industry, maybe even keeping people scared and kind of working under conditions that they're not happy about, but maybe they feel powerless to advocate for change on their own behalf because maybe they're worried about consequences of retaliation from their employer, things like that. So I guess my question is, with this conversation, I guess I'm wondering if you'd be willing to, or if you already do eat a fully plant-based diet.
I'm not fully plant-based. Kind of gone in that direction because I do have a lot of health issues. So it's one of those things that I've kind of moved away from doing some of that. So yeah, it's something, yeah, definitely that stays in my brain of like what my choices are. So
What would be stopping you from deciding? I know it's like, like I talked about, there's not a lot of immediate impetus or something like pushing us, because if we want to be comfortable as we are, we can coast along. But I think in those quiet moments when we kind of shine the light on those sticky feelings in the feeling fund, so to speak, we kind of see that maybe there's some things that I'm participating in that I'm not fully comfortable with.
yeah, I mean, just like you're shining a light on that for me. So like the rest of going forward, it's going to make a difference with me because it brings it to my conscious level. That, hey, maybe don't make that choice, make this choice.
Yeah, and I'd say you're shining it on yourself because you didn't have to come up here. You didn't have to continue engaging with the conversation. You didn't have to answer honestly. So all of those things are you putting that integrity into motion. So I guess the question going forward is then, do you feel empowered to adopt a plant-based diet? Let's say if you just said, okay, my next meal is going to be vegan, so it's going to be plant-based fruits, vegetables, beans, grains, nuts, and seeds are what's going to make up this meal, and then tomorrow morning, and then maybe I'll have a snack at night that'll be plant-based, maybe some corn nuts, some walnuts, some dates, or a granola bar, or what have you, and then tomorrow morning for breakfast I'll have like some oatmeal or
just step by step
vegan sausage, or a just egg, or some hash browns, or a tofu scramble with some spinach and some tomatoes, some peppers, things like that. Step by step. I guess. Does that seem like something that is within your power?
Oh yeah. It's within my power. I mean, I'm capable of doing it. I mean, people are capable of doing it. It's whether or not they have a desire to do it.
Right.
That's what I comes down to.
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk to you, but I gotta sit down.
Okay, sure. So I guess I'll let you go, but I'm just wondering, so from this day forward, if you had the ideal choice, how many animals would you want to be killed or exploited on your behalf?
I don't want any.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Does that mean vegan from now on?
I'm gonna try to commit to that.
Okay, so just the word try,
it's iffy.
Well, it's not that it's iffy, but if you were in the victim's perspective, would you want somebody with the power to leave you alone to try to leave you?
Yeah, no. I mean, it is one of those things. It's a day by day. I mean, I think that's what people struggle with all the time. I mean, for alcoholics, it's a day by day. It's a thing that we've already been programmed for so long to do, and it's in our daily routine. That it's one of those things that you have to commit yourself to doing it. So yeah, I mean,
are you willing to
try and do? Yes.
Okay, awesome. Great. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Here's some information.
Okay.
And there's also a site called Challenge 22, and they can hook you up with a nutritionist or a dietitian, and they can help you for free for 22 days to craft together the how. So like you said, a person just needs to be able to basically want it badly, So that's your why. So it sounds like you have your why, and I'll tell you, that's the hardest part. The easiest part is just the how from here on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for stopping. What's your name?
Christy.
Christy?
Yeah.
Cool, I'm Haas.
It's nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
All right, well, have a great vegan day and hopefully vegan life.
Thank you, yes.
Appreciate it.
It's nice talking to you.
Likewise. All right, that was a great conversation. Hopefully vegan from now on. And I think I might end up wrapping up this stream a little early. I got kind of like really tired after eating a big meal earlier today, and yeah, I think I'm just gonna kind of chill. I'm going to dinner later with a friend at a vegan restaurant, and I appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you for your kind feedback, and thank you for tuning in. Even especially rather if it's like super late for you. Your sacrifice to be here does not go unnoticed. So thank you guys all for being here. Noted Benji about letting her speak more. Yeah, I do sometimes tend to jump in a little bit too preemptively, but yeah, well, I guess we're all a work in progress. But thank you guys so much for stopping in, and thanks to everyone who stuck around. I think we broke our record for highest number of viewers. I think I saw like 48 at some point. So thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll all see each other again very soon. And also, please try to kind of like tell me what kind of other content you guys might want to see. I don't want to just burn myself out doing outreach, like and I do love video editing and stuff like that. If you look at my other content on this channel, I've got a lot of like kind of more cinematic type stuff. So I think cooking might be a good one. Other than that, like maybe like exercise or sports related stuff, things like that. Or I don't know if you could think of anything else, even like something like, I don't know, bird watching or something like that. Just give me some ideas. I might make a poll or something like that. I tried one a while ago and I didn't really get a lot of traction with it, but I'm really curious about like what my viewers want to see. Hey, Vegan Stoner Lady, good to see you. Wow, 68 viewers. That was awesome. Okay, well, yeah, ending up cutting it a little bit short today, but you know what? Screw it. Let's just do one more. I think I might just be a little dehydrated, so I'm gonna drink a little more water, and I'll try for one more conversation. Ah, that hit the spot. Okay, we'll go for one more conversation. Vegan Stoner Lady is here, so we can't just end right now. 40-year-old vegan says chips rubbing off. One more. Hey Jake, good to see you here. Yeah, I got a little more gas in the tank here. This guy has an awesome shirt. It says, "Enjoy the present." That is so powerful. Must enjoy the present moment. What are you grateful for in this moment? I'm grateful for weather I can be outside in with short sleeves and shorts. I'm grateful for this awesome community of vegans here. I'm grateful for whatever type of printing enabled me to print this on a metal sign. I'm grateful for trees. I think if we thought about a landscape or whatever without any trees, that would be really depressing. Tessa, that's a great fifth one, vegan food. Martin says vegans are weak and sickly, though. I think Martin's kidding on that one. Ooh, I just got a spider web on my nose from somewhere. Okay, we will get one more conversation here. Okay, so yeah, I think let's get one, maybe even two. Sometimes, after a very good conversation, I get this desire to quit because it's almost like I feel so like, on top of the clouds or whatever about it. And I just like dread having a conversation where I have to answer like the most basic kind of questions afterwards. So like after this last conversation with this woman telling me basically that more or less that she was going to commit to doing her best to being plant-based from now on. It's kind of like I'm like, yes, amazing. And you actually get a real feel for like that person's intelligence and compassion, and it's difficult to then throw yourself back into the grind where you might have to deal with somebody pointing at their canine teeth or something like that. Hello. So we are live on YouTube. Are you okay to be live on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you guys mind coming into the frame here? Awesome. And so my name is Haz, and I'm wondering if you guys have any ideas about what the 4th of July is about, like just in terms of general themes. Like, you guys have any concepts, like just larger philosophical type themes, not necessarily.
I mean, Independence Day.
Independence, yeah.
Independence.
How about freedom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm wondering, so I'm an animal liberationist,
Okay.
and what I'm wondering is if you guys think that freedom is something that only humans can experience.
Are you coming with us?
I think.
I think anyone can.
Yeah.
Anyone, like any
Any
species of animal.
Species.
Yeah. And can you think of any species who humans forget on a day-to-day basis, kind of thing?
Beetles, flies.
Ants.
Yeah.
Spiders. We kill them
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. And also, like, animals who are used for like entertainment, for example.
At the zoo.
At the
Dolphins.
zoo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Orcas.
The zoo opens, the animals get gawked at, pictures get taken, and then they just are stuck there until the next day. And then animals in like animal testing. If you think about that, they're just
Pig
in
testing.
laboratory. Sorry,
Pig testing.
pig testing.
In like medical devices.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But aren't they dead?
No,
When they-
sometimes they're alive.
Well, but whether they're dead or alive, also they're like bred
Yes.
for that purpose, which doesn't make it right? It just means that we're exerting even more control over them than like a free roaming animal.
Yeah.
And then animals like rats, for example, are commonly tested on beagles as well.
Really?
Yeah,
For
beagles. I've seen like cigarette things on beagles, for example, testing.
Like patches.
I think I've seen stuff where like they're literally hooked up to like smoke masks, basically, like things pumping in smoke into their lungs, things like that. This is something that is pretty rampant, but pretty like under the surface with like education and medical testing, things like that. And then obviously the use of animals for food is a big one. So like I, for example, haven't eaten an animal for over 14 years. I've been vegan for about 12 and a half years. And I find it very easy to do. I'm wondering, as someone who's living proof that we don't need to eat or use animals for food, for nutrition, if you guys think that we can justify basically ending the whole time horizon of even one individual animal.
I mean, she's actually a vegetarian, so she doesn't need any meat. But my thing is, animals in the wild eat other animals. We're animals ourselves. So listen, I get like torturing animals, like, and the way they do it is a little bit bad. But I'm saying naturally, like, we grew up hunting and killing animals. Like, I don't see what's so wrong about that. Like, we're predators.
So
It's just like,
So, biologically speaking, we're omnivorous, meaning
Yeah.
that we can eat vegetation or animals. Doesn't necessarily. It's a description. It's not a prescription. In other words, like it's a descriptive statement, not necessarily like a should. I would say in terms of our ability to use our morality, that's one of our greatest advantages. I mean, like lions, for example, might eat another animal alive. They grape each other in public, or in the forest or whatever. But we don't do that. As humans with each other, we have like laws and norms and morals for a lot of different things. So I see this as just another area where we have the opportunity to evolve on a moral basis. Now, that's not to say that somebody is a more moral person if they're vegan compared to somebody who's not. But I can say with absolute certainty that if somebody, with all else held constant, goes vegan, that they will become a more moral version of themselves than they were the day before, if that makes sense. So in other words, like, lions might do some stuff that's really messed up, but if we use them as our role models, we would also be doing stuff that's really messed up. So I don't think it's fair just to point to like just food, for example. and use their behavior as a justification. I get what you're saying about our like history, anthropological history, and to that I would posit that if something is kind of a necessary evil, and then it's no longer necessary, then what we're left with is like a math equation. It's just what we're left with is just evil when it's no longer necessary.
But the problem with my problem with like eating plants is like if on a world scale, like not me personally or not you personally, but I mean stuff like tofu, soybeans, like consume a ton of water. Isn't that more injurious for the environment as a whole?
So this will blow your mind. 70 to 80%.
Okay.
70-80% of all the soy that's grown in this country is for quote unquote livestock animals.
Yeah.
So I'd like to give you guys some information
Sure.
if I can. And yeah, from an environmental perspective though, it's absolutely the way to go. We could actually free up like 75% of land and let it rewild and stuff like that if we stop all this monocropping and stuff like that. And it's literally the biggest force for welfare because it's subsidized like you wouldn't believe. So we could literally with all that money have like free fruits and vegetables for all. So yeah, I'd encourage you guys to look more into it. And are you guys all over 18 by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there's a documentary called Dominion. If you go to watchdominion.com, and I know your Uber's here, so I won't keep you. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. Haz Vegan, Haz Vegan, one word on YouTube. It's not on there. That's from Vegan Outreach. Okay, yeah. Take care, guys. Yeah, thank you for stopping. All right. That was a good conversation. And I think I'm going to go ahead and call it here. This was pretty good. I think we had 3 conversations, and I enjoyed myself. So some open-minded people stopped by. Yeah, thank you guys all for being here, and hope you guys have a great vegan day, and subscribe and like and all that stuff. If you haven't, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll catch you guys in the next edition of this, I guess. And yeah, please let me know what other kinds of content you guys would like to see. Thank you guys all for being here. PJ, Vegan Stoner Lady, Lewis, Martin, and everyone else who's here. Thank you guys. Have an awesome vegan day. I'll see you guys again soon. All right, take care. You guys are awesome.